it's really important for churches to start having these conversations, particularly ones where obviously the church hasn't decided to become sort of open and affirming and allow it, but also the churches that they're going to be a lot on a spectrum. We talk about spectrums all the time in the LGBTQ community, but there's the people who just believe outright that it shouldn't happen, that we're somehow some kind of monsters that can't be allowed in through the door, to the people that have already allowed it. But there's a lot of people and a lot of churches in the middle that haven't made that decision yet. And how are you going to know what the rest of the congregation is thinking if you don't talk about it? Hi, I'm Nici, and this is my wife Ali, and we've been married for nearly 6 years.
Yeah.
We live in Cardiff, and we recently have adopted a small boy.
We met online on a dating website. We both weren't looking for a relationship at the time, but when we met, we clicked, and 3 weeks later, I proposed to Nici. We got married just over a year later.
Yeah, it was quite quick, but I think when you know, you know. So our first date, because obviously it was quite soon, we were talking online, sort of messaging each other, and so we agreed to meet in Cardiff for a coffee, I think. And then I think we went for a walk around Cardiff because there was a parade or something on.
Yeah, a fete.
A fete. We went down to the Bay.
Went to the
Doctor Who exhibition.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we walked around the Doctor Who place, and yeah, just had a really nice time. I think we went into town then, had a bit of lunch.
Yeah.
And then the day we didn't really want it to end, so we ended up going to the cinema.
Yeah.
And then Ali caught the last train home up the valleys and was disappointed that when she turned around to see me and wave, I'd already gone. Left the platform. Train's gone, I'm off.
Yeah.
But the proposal was 3 weeks after that.
Yeah, we went to Merthyr Mawr sand dunes, and I knew Nici was the one, so I drew "Will you marry me" in the sand while Nici was distracted by a few shells. So when Nici turned around, I said, "Oh, can you read this?" And Nici said, "Will you?" And I said, "No, start again." And I said, "Will you marry me?" And Nici said yes.
Yep. We really wanted to get married in my church, which Ali is now a member of as well. But the rules of the URC at the time, we were waiting for General Assembly, and they were discussing same-sex marriages in churches, and they were going to come to a decision. And if they'd made the right decision, it would have been just in time for us to actually get married in our church. And unfortunately, they decided on another year of deliberations, which meant that we couldn't. So we were always going to have some kind of blessing in our church, weren't we?
Yeah. So what we had to do was go to the registry office. So we actually got married with 2 witnesses on a Wednesday, and then on the Saturday, straight after, it basically looked like a normal wedding, but without the signing of the register. So we had about 150 people come, and as far as they were aware, we got married that day.
We wanted to keep the costs down because we sort of believe that a wedding and a marriage is about love and not about how much we spend. So we had our reception upstairs in the church, and we had a bring and share. So everybody brought food, plates and plates and plates of food.
There was lots
of food, and we shared all that out, and we had a great party.
And we had a friend do all the music and hire some lights. So
we had a disco
and a barn dance.
Yeah, Tumpath. Yeah, it was great fun.
It was really great to have the ceremony in the church, because it's the church I belong to, and to have my family and friends and Nici's family and friends come to our church and see us get married was just a really warm feeling, and for them to be in our building with God looking over us as well, it was just amazing.
Yeah, it was super important to us to be able to, get married in the eyes of God, as it would have been said beforehand. And I think that it should be open to all. Two people love each other and they want to spend the rest of their lives together and they're Christian, then why shouldn't they pledge their love to one another forever in the building where we do that like every week? So it was, the fact that we couldn't quite get married was a little bit annoying, because 6-7 months after we got married, they then passed that you could then get married in the church. So we missed out on it. It's really important that LGBTQ plus couples should be able to get married in church. I think it is everybody's right, if they believe in God, to get married in a place that means so much to them. We're able to be baptized, and we're able to have our funerals in churches, but because we're gay or bisexual, we're not allowed to get married to the person we love. Jesus never says anything about, well, in the future, 2 women or 2 men or, 2 transgendered people cannot get married in churches. Nothing was ever said like that. I think that when God is in your heart and you want to share your heart with both God and the person you love, then those two should be able to coexist together.
And why should it be any different for us than it is for straight people to get married in a church? We all love each other the same.
For churches that are considering this or wanting to start the conversation, I think it's really important to engage with the LGBTQ community. There's sort of no point in trying to second guess how we might be feeling and what we might like to do. Just ask someone, if you were getting married, what would you want? Is getting married in a church important to you? I'm sure there are people out there who you can talk to, and if not, the gathering is here to help. But engage with us. We don't bite. We actually can talk and be Christian and have meaningful conversations, and that doesn't just mean that we're going to say you need to do it now and that's the end of it. No, we're on about having a proper meaningful conversation, hearing both sides of the story to come to a common ground, and that's all LGBTQ people are asking for, is to be equal in everything, and that includes being Christian. Jesus was all about the minority groups. That's what he did. He spent his life basically saying, oh yeah, there's a group of people over here and they're doing really well, but this person over here is not doing so well. Actually, we need to lift them up and make them the same. And I think that the LGBT community is still a minority group, especially LGBT Christians. They're even more of a minority group. And Jesus would just be all over it. Love one another as if they're your neighbour. That's the main message that I take from the commandments. And why not love everybody? It would be a much nicer world if everyone just loved one another and got on.